Hey there, comic book fans. I am back from the comic shop again this week. And another pretty big week. I got 9 comics. That's because I splurged and got 3 #1 issues. Because a lot of my comics have ended recently, so I may as well try some new stuff. But $14 for 3 like $14 for 3 comics. How crazy is that? That's because one of them was a $6 comic and the others were 4. But first I'll show you a couple of the freebies. What do we got? Wolverine Launch Party card. My comic shop will not have a Wolverine launch party. I think I'd much rather like a Wolverine lunch party. I think that'd be better. Nice finger sandwiches and chips and dip. That would be good. But I just like to pick up this useless stuff. And for all the library books I've been reading, I got a couple of Lock and Key bookmarks. No new library books this week. I've returned all the stuff I've had and I've read, except for Martha Washington. I'm still working on that one. I only read the first 4-issue series in it because that one's big. So I'm still reading Martha Washington. And if you guys have any recommendations for books I should take out of the library, let me know down below because I'm going to have to look for some more now. Let's see. We got some comic shop news. Feels double thick. Is it 2 of them in here? Maybe it's just double thick. Carla Pacheco and Pere Perez, Spider-Woman. Strange Academy #1. Let's see, why is this one so thick? Whoops. Oh, it looks like there's big Marvel ads in it. That's why. Star Wars #1, Bounty Hunters. I've never read any of these Marvel Star Wars comics that have been new. Spider-Man Noir. So I guess I guess this is probably a big Marvel issue with all these Marvel ads in it. Jess, in the Nick of Time, Spider-Woman returns. Arrow and Swordmaster. They Marvel too? Yeah, they're Marvel too. The Hellions. What else we got here? Champions, New Warriors. Okay. Bunch of Marvel stuff. That's what that is. Now let's look at our #1s. We have Adler #1. I don't know what the name recognition is on Irene Adler for a comic book. She's a character from Sherlock Holmes, and she was only in one story, A Scandal in Bohemia. I have the name right on the tip of my tongue because just this week I was revisiting some of the old Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes TV shows that I love. And the first one is A Scandal in Bohemia. And Irene Adler, she might be the only significant woman in the Sherlock Holmes stories. And she's significant because she outsmarted Sherlock Holmes. She was like only in one story and mentioned in a second. But anytime in pop culture when everyone wants to do a Sherlock Holmes thing with a woman, they gravitate towards Irene Adler because she's the one. And I liked the artwork in it. I just popped it open and glanced through the artwork and thought it was pretty cool. Don't know what it's about besides Irene Adler. We'll have to see, but, I figured I'd give it a try. What was that? Titan Comics. And then we got the After Realm. This is actually I looked in the indicia, and it says the After Realm Quarterly #1 is the actual name of this. So I'm guessing it's coming out quarterly. Well, it said next issue, May 22. So I guess this is the $6 issue, but it's extra thick. That feels like a 60-page issue. I just wanted to... this is Michael Avon Oeming. He's the one who drew Powers that Brian Michael Bendis wrote. I've never been a Brian Michael Bendis fan. I didn't like Powers. I think I read an issue or 2 of it. But I want to see what he does on his own, just because I don't know that I've ever read any of his stuff. It's looks like it's fantasy stuff. Looks like there's an elf woman in it. Something just fall to the floor? I don't know. I heard something go crack. So, looks like a magical fantasy story. I I had an extra $6 this week, so I figured I'd give that a try. And then the other one I gave a try to, is The Man Who Fucked Up Time. Though they have with all the, what are those called? There's a name for those when they replace letters. I can't remember it now. But I picked this one up, and it's by John Layman, who's I think the guy who wrote Chew. I only read an issue or two of Chew. It didn't strike me, but it was okay. And Carl Mostert is the artist. And it was the art that sold me on it. Once again, I flipped through. And I also like it's got a heavy cover. That's always good. That always makes me want to buy the comic more when it's got a good, heavy stock cover. Paper stock matters. It's about a guy who messes up time. Aftershock. That's what there's another name down there. I wonder if that's the letterer, because actually, is that the colorist down the bottom? Let's see. I want to see now. John Layman, writer and co-creator. Carl Mostert, artist and co-creator. D. Canife, colorist. John Layman, letterer, doesn't get his name in there. That was interesting that they put her name on the cover down the bottom. Larry Stroman, incentive cover. Okay. I don't think that's Larry. I think that's the main cover by the Carl Mostert. But we'll give that a try. Those are my three number ones for the week. Then we've got, of course, Kaiju Max. Was it season 5, number 2? I think it's been a while between number 1 and number 2. Maybe not. Maybe a little longer than a month. I don't remember, but I always enjoy Kaiju Max. It's about giant monsters in a prison, and I always say it's one of the most human comics out there because all the kaiju, all the giant monsters, all have personalities, all have hopes and dreams, all interact with each other. They're just doing their time, and there's also giant robot guards. I've been buying this since season 2. I missed out on season 1, and I like it. Let's see. Then we bought a facsimile edition. This is one of the reasons I had to get some number ones, because I've been buying so many facsimile editions and dollar True Believers that I needed some new comics in there. And this is Green Lantern number 1. Gil Kane. And who wrote this? Did they give credits in Green Lantern number 1? I don't think they did. But I know Gil Kane drew it. But, as much as I love these for their historical value, let's face it, this isn't not going to scratch the itch of a good comic book read. It's just, a comic, a Green Lantern comic from 1960, whatever, 61, 62, 60. I don't even know when Green Lantern 1 came out. I wonder if it tells you anywhere in here. But I think it's the early 60s and not the late 50s. 1960. There we go. It came out in 1960. That's practically the 50s. But I love these facsimile editions. I love getting them. I love their historical value, but not all of them are great. That's for sure. Then we got Birthright, number 41. Book's been around for a while now. Oh, these are the. I saw the letter of this Pat Brousseau posted on his Twitter today that this was actually a 6-page connecting piece of art, and he'd hoped it was going to be printed in a 6-page fold out, but it wasn't. It's actually, they printed it as 3 double-page spreads, because if I remember correctly now, in glancing at those. In the last issue, the walls, the wall that there's Birthright is about our Earth, and then there's this other magical planet that exists somewhere that the God King Lore rules, and he just broke down the whatever barrier that kept him from coming to Earth. So he's coming to Earth with a vengeance. All these giant monsters are coming with him. So now our Earth is going to have to deal with this ruler of a planet, God King lore. Good stuff. And then what's interesting is the other issue 41 I've got is Manifest Destiny. These have both been around for a while. Also lettered by Pat Brousseau. So it's like, it's amazing that like 41 means you've been around for years. That's like a big number in comics now. If you go and look at all the comics on the shelf, even Marvel and DC don't have big numbers. And DC's big numbers are fake because they renamed it. They renumbered it at 1 and then just put a big number on it after that. And I think I saw like some random book like Justice League or something was at like 40, and I'm like, ooh, there's a high number. But like I said, most comics now you never get to 41. Marvel just launched like 24 new number ones just the month of January. A new Wolverine number 1. Matter of fact, that was a discussion we were having at the comic shop. We were wondering who has more number 1 issues, Deadpool or Wolverine, counting all their miniseries and stuff. Because, Wolverine has been around for a while, but he's had some long-running series, too. Deadpool has been around for a while now, too, not as long as Wolverine, but he's had tons and tons of miniseries and long. So it's like, I just wondered, which had more number 1s, Wolverine or Deadpool? Someone out there look it up for me. I need an assistant. You there. And then we've got Usagi Yojimbo. What issue number is this? Number 8. Part 1 of 2. So, I always enjoy Usagi Yojimbo. Oh, look at that. We learned how to do some weaving this issue. I've been collecting it since 1986. Matter of fact, I'm now collecting the Usagi Yojimbo Color Classics. Is on my pull list that IDW is doing, where they recolorized the original Usagis, and I haven't read them since 1986, so I may as well buy them again and read them. And there's some bonus material in the back. And what was weird about reading that first Usagi issue from way back then was, I haven't read them, and so I've forgotten how much better they are now in terms of, Stan Sakai has been doing it for 3 decades now, so he's a master storyteller. Back then, he was still starting out. He was good, but he wasn't the master he is now. So it was like that first Usagi Color Classic the writing was a little different, the art was different. I still enjoyed it, but it was just amazing to see the difference between then and now. I always enjoy Usagi Yojimbo, so I'll like both the old and the new versions. And then the last thing we got was a True Believers. Tales of Suspense. This is the first Pepper Potts. It's True Believers 45. Tales of Suspense 45. This was before it was a split book, right? Good stuff. Don Heck, right? That's who this is. Yep, Don Heck. Oh, he's doing his own inking. He's credited as art, so I think he's inking himself. There's a shot of Tony Stark. Don Heck was good at the romance stuff, so he's good at drawing pretty people. And, I'm going to enjoy this one too. So, let me show you a little bit of art. I don't think I showed this one. I did it. Got another one back there that I'm working on. But this is one I finished in the beginning of January. And it's got lots of nice faces in it. Like that big face there. Our strange-faced guy in there. Giant eye looking at you. Strange falling ball. And this guy's face is made out of shapes. Oh, look, a little house. Let's go home to the little house. Another big ink drawing. I just got 20 new sheets of paper for big. And it says, for some reason, on the box of paper, it says small pizza box. Why? I don't know. But got 20 more sheets in there because this was my last sheet back here of big paper. So I'm ready to go for some more this year. And you guys all have a good week out there.